Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Southfield regular meeting of the Planning Commission. At this time, I'd like for us to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Goodwin-Dye, Mr. Griffiths.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. Willis.
Here.
Dr. Stevens-Gunn.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have 2 absences, but you do have a quorum to conduct business today.
Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone has had an opportunity to review our agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to approve our agenda for this evening?
To the chair. Motion to approve the Planning Commission December 13th agenda.
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Martin and second by Commissioner Willis that we approve today's agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, are there any announcements and communications for this evening?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
All right, moving right along. We're going to take a look at item D for the property located at 24848 Southfield Road, PS LU 23-0017, special use, public hearing, PSP 23-0017, site plan review. May I have some background, please?
Thank you, ma'am. This is a gas station, existing gas station on the corner of Southfield and 10 Mile. This will be the southeast corner. They are looking to add liquor sales to the existing gas station. No additions. We'll get into a little more detail here. Just for reference, because this came for discussion at our prior meeting, just a diagram showing the blue is the location of the subject site. The red diamond to the north of that is the nearby liquor store, New Abbey Wine and Liquor, and the oval orange to the south is the nearest other gas station. That larger black circle is just a 1,000-foot radius around the site. So those are all it's the gas stations and liquor stores within that 1,000-foot radius, just for reference as to what's in that immediate area, because there was some discussion of that. Just thought we'd put it right out there in a slide. Site aerial, as you can see, the gas station has a canopy that's attached to the building, goes out toward 10 Mile, has curb cuts on 10 Mile and Southfield. Existing conditions on the site, took a photo of the property here on a sunny day while it was functioning. Cars the pumps. Current zoning is P. There's like a 30-foot vehicular parking zoning along Southfield, and then the remainder of the site where the gas station is and the structures are is in the B3 general business. The future land use map for this is commercial office. That's consistent with the zoning and with the use. We do have existing site plan. They are looking to do while the building itself is not expanding and the exterior is not changing, they're doing a couple of site improvements. They're going to attach the walkway along the front of the building out to the sidewalk. Right now there's no sidewalk attachment there, so there's going to be an extension of the sidewalk out to the Southfield sidewalk. And they're adding bike racks, and there's going to be a freshening up of the landscaping also. This is the actual landscape plan that they're going to refresh the landscaping. Not that the landscaping was in terrible condition when I visited the site, but you can almost always use to freshen up on the landscaping for almost any commercial property. Floor plan, they did touch this up since the last meeting. If you look at the labeling, they now show the shelves behind the cashier. It says liquor shelves. And then they've got the beer cave and the 5 coolers with doors labeled for beer. And then 4 of the racks in the middle labeled for wine to give a reference as to where the alcohol sales would be located in the C-store. So it's within the existing layout. They're just displacing certain products with new product. Elevations, these are the existing elevations of the building. And some interior photos they were kind enough to provide us. The top left there is the beer coolers, those 5 coolers in a row. The middle one is what's going to be the beer cave where you can walk in. And then the top right is a wine rack on the right side. Below it is the wine rack from the left side. And then the other 2 on the bottom left are showing you, they've got product back there, but those are the shelves where the liquor would go behind the counter, where the teller's at. Well, we do have the petitioner present, if they'd like to come forward to answer questions.
Good evening, Mark Yaldo, 24848 Southfield, Michigan.
Rocky Aldo, 2848 Southfield Road, Southfield, Michigan.
Can you give us a little bit of background of what it is you're doing and why you're interested in doing it?
Well, since, the ordinance change, to the allowed, this gas station, beer and wine and liquors, that's where we apply, to get, to improve the business and we've been there about 14 years. We've been paying all the taxes, all the cleaning, everything, whatever required, which is roughly the tax is about $22,000 a year. And we've been maintaining, the property to the standard, to whatever city they require. And we just like to get that, the liquor, beer and wine, because the ordinance change and we will meet them, the ordinance require.
Trying to improve to the business and serve the community.
Okay. Thank you.
This is subject to a public hearing.
At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for PSLU 23-0017. Gentlemen, you can be seated. If there's any public here that would like to share their thoughts or comments regarding PSLU 23-0017, please approach the podium. You will have exactly 3 minutes to share your thoughts. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Randy Simona. I'm counsel for New Abbey Wine and Liquor. Address is 25030 Southfield Road. I'm here tonight before this honorable commission to express our strong opposition to the special use request on behalf of 10 Southfield Incorporated to permit the addition of liquor sales to the existing gas station located at 10 Mile in Southfield. As it currently stands, New Abbey offers a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor for off-consumption premises. There's also a CVS pharmacy located 0.1 miles away from this location, right across the street. They also offer a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor for off-consumption premises. Off-premises consumption. Ahead of tonight's meeting, I did send to the Honorable Commission 24 different maps of every liquor retail store in Southfield and how close the nearest liquor store is to that liquor store. And out of the 24 maps that I presented, there's only 2 locales that have liquor stores that close to one another, with New Abbey and CVS being one of them. There is not an intersection in Southfield that has 3 liquor stores at that intersection. So, this undue proposal for a special use would be the first of its kind, and I don't think that it's necessary nor conducive to the city of Southfield. When you ask the petitioner here what's the reasoning, they're saying we'd like to get a liquor license because the ordinance changed. They're not talking about anything with regards to the city, the residents, the people, safety, health, welfare, traffic, anything like that. I did submit publications to this board in advance as well with regards to alcohol outlet density and the fact that an increase in alcohol outlets in such a saturated area leads to violent crimes, auto accidents, increased rates of alcohol consumption, underage drinking, just not good for the city, not good for the residents overall. Additionally, when you look at the city ordinances within the city of Southfield, section 7.195 of the items to be considered when granting such an SDD license, one of the criteria states that the location proposed and methods of operation must not detrimentally or unreasonably impact nearby property owners, businesses, and residents. This proposed addition to this gas station, I think, does just that. It's going to really add a lot of traffic to that area. It's not that big of a gas station to add $250,000 of required inventory and liquor. And again,
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. The jam that it's going to cause in that area is just not going to be conducive to traffic. And again, it's just not very good for the health and welfare of the citizens of Southfield. And again, I do ask humbly that this honorable commission, I know there's an SDD ordinance that changed, but it doesn't mean that this commission should place liquor stores so close to each other so as to have a liquor boulevard of some sort. So I trust again that you will make the right decision and consider these facts before making your decision today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Is there anyone else that is interested in sharing their thoughts regarding PSLU 23-0017 special use? Please share your name and your address.
Hi, good evening. Andy Atisha. I'm the owner of the Plaza Cross Street from 25,000 up to 25,100. My tenants, they're against it. I have 11 tenants, and we have a liquor store already. And there is a liquor store, CVS. There is a liquor. Now, if you get more liquor license, there's going to be more trouble, more traffic, and I'm against it. And gas and liquor and beer and wine does not match. That will increase drink and driving. So that's why I'm against it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Please share your name and your address.
My name is Leo Kearney. I'm at 224 400 Lathrop Boulevard. And what I got to say is this right here. Look at the volume. Look at the streets. Look at the consumption of what this store has. This store sells gas. And the gas that they sell, people cannot get in and out. And it's not a variety of a place that you can have people come in and park and go get liquor from this store. It's not a big parking lot, it's anything. Only thing this is gonna cause is a lot of congestion, probably on safety. When people trying to pull out into traffic, people might get hit and everything else, because it does not have a parking lot to consume what people buying liquor going to stop and get. Now, my thing of it is, okay, it's on the corner, yes. Now, you got people going out on the opposite end, you got people coming out on this end. So, what you gonna do when you got a traffic jam? What you gonna do when people study moving and whatever else? That's gonna cause more traffic violations, people getting hurt and everything else. Now, it's not about, how can I say, people want to rob liquor stores or whatever else. It's not about that. It's about the safety of the community. Now, if the community is not safe, this place do not have the appropriate volume to handle the cars that's going to be stopping in and getting liquor. You can look at the stores right now. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7, 8 spots where you can park. Then you got the other spots where you're getting gas. So how can you do that? Because see, now everybody going to this gas station to try to get liquor, it's going to be volume. Sometimes volume is good, sometimes volume is bad. But right now, volume is very bad for this store because it doesn't have the appropriate parking lot to have the right amount of anything for to get in and out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Please share your name and your address.
My name is Zephyr Brown. I live at 25124 Sherwood Circle. I'm about 350 yards away from the gas station. My problem is that within a mile and a quarter or 2.5 miles, we got 5 liquor establishments already in Southfield. I've been there for 30 years, and I see that I don't want another liquor establishment. I'm sorry. We have one at Greenfield Road. Then we come down to the one here. We go down to the middle. There's 4 liquor establishments I could walk to. And adding another one at the gas station, we as the public, said that we're opposed to drinking and driving. I don't know. It sounds like drinking and driving to me, but I'm opposed to it. That's all I have to say, okay?
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Good evening. How are you all?
Your name and your address,
Marcus
please?
Chu. Address is 25040 Southfield Road, Samsu Factory. Just wanted to let you guys know that the gas station just needs to stay in this lane. Sell gas. If there's anything else you want to sell besides liquor, sell food or something like that. But you have a liquor store right here on 10 Mile right before Evergreen. You got the one, as the young man just stated, on 10 Mile and Greenfield. Then, of course, as we stated, it was one right at the CVS. Amy's Liquor Store is a good spot. We don't really need it. Simple as that. Just let the gas station stay in its lane and sell gas. Simple.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Is there anyone else interested in sharing their thoughts regarding PSLU 23-0017?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lionel Crew, capital C-R-E-W. I live at 19830 West 12 Mile, Unit 32 in Southfield. And my mom lives right close to this gas station. This was one of my favorite gas stations to get repairs done years ago when they had a garage. I've worked in substance abuse, in Berkeley, and all the gas stations in Berkeley have liquor stores in them. And it's been my understanding that a lot of these people were getting caught because they were trying to get there at 7 o'clock when it opened, when the regular traditional stores aren't open, or rushing there at 1:59 to get another drink, and like people mentioned, I don't believe that these two things should actually mix. I really miss that repair shop there. But as far as alcohol and a gas station, being so close to having 3 on every corner, and that is a very congested corner, 10 Mile Southfield. We just don't feel that it's necessary. And I would really like to have another repair shop in there. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Is there anyone else interested in sharing their thoughts regarding PSLU 23-0017?
How you doing? My name is Durrell Laurie. I stay at 24535 North Carolina. I'm against it. We don't need all these liquor stores in our community. It's just gonna make our community go down. We put that up there. It's already seen too many accidents on 10 Mile and Southfield. We just don't need it up in there. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Is there anyone else interested? Please share your name and your address.
Adina Graves, 17193 Goldwyn Drive, Southfield, Michigan. I've been living here for 27 years, and even though I do go to this gas station, it's very hard to get in and out of it as it is. I feel like putting liquor there won't be a good idea. We have all these other liquor stores everywhere, mile radius. I'm opposed to it. I don't want it to happen. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Anyone else interested?
Good evening. My name's Raymond Oliver. I live at 25425 Grand Concourse, and I agree with those that have spoken before me. All it's going to cause is more accidents. There's not enough parking space there. I very seldom go to that gas station because it's hard to get in and get out. And I think all it's going to create is another problem if you're selling, people just trying to pull in just to get some liquor. Different if you're in the gas lane and going in and going out, but I really think it'll cause more confusions and more accidents. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Is there anyone else interested in discussing PSLU 23-0017?
Clarice Jordan, 25610 Friar Lane. I agree with all the people as well, basically what they have stated. It is very congested in that area, and it is very hard to get in and out of that area as well. So I just wanted to come up and speak too, just to say that I totally agree with what they're saying, especially at night, which is a concern for me because, you know, most people are drinking and things like that, driving and things like that, and by it getting dark early or whatever the case may be, it can cause several hazards in that intersection there. So I just wanted to express my views to you all. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Anyone else interested?
Hello, my name is Alante Joseph, and I live at 24535 North Carolina Street in Southfield, Michigan. And what everyone has said, I'm opposed to it. I don't agree with it. I think it's a very bad idea. It's always congested, like everyone has said. And the parking lot is definitely not big enough. It's not enough room to accommodate gas buyers and alcohol buyers at the same time. So I'm opposed to it. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Is there anyone else interested in PSLU 23-0017? Anyone else interested in sharing their thoughts? Anyone else interested in sharing their thoughts? At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing for PSLU 23-0017. Commissioner Martin.
I have a question, well, for the public hearing, though, of course. For the site plan, I have a question.
Go ahead.
One of the things I know is that because of a liquor store, you're required to have a sign requiring ID for the purchase of liquor. And you're also required to have a sign for the purchase of cigarettes. I think we need to make sure that this and any other gas station that wants to sell liquor has signage that says, that lets the entrance, those entering know that they need required ID for cigarettes, beer, wine, and liquor. It's just something that we need to make sure that they have. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Willis?
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. First of all, someone brought up, and I think it's a good question, the idea of parking. Parking requirements for gas station, for filling up with gas, it's a little different than leaving your car, going inside to get a product and leaving it. Have you studied at all the parking requirements, and have you made any changes to your parking as a result of that?
I believe we met all the requirements that planning department needed for the parking, and most of the time we're a convenience store. It's not a liquor store where a lot of people are just coming in for liquor. We serve gasoline, as everyone's saying. We serve snacks, we serve food. Our liquor sales are not going to be 80% liquor sales, like a liquor store is. Our sales are like 80% food and snacks and 10, 15, 20% alcohol. It's the convenience. We're in the convenience industry. Liquor stores are in the beverage industry. You know, it's like no difference than McDonald's and Burger King next to each other. They have their own clientele. This guy has one, this guy has Big Mac, this guy has the Whopper. It's no difference. Our business is a convenience business. So there's not going to be 90 people walking in just to get liquor. It's more or less the person who's getting fuel. They pull up or they stay in their car, as they do now, to get snacks. They may want a bottle of wine, a bottle of liquor, and you know, we've met the requirements for parking as of right now. We're not expecting, or should, we have other locations that have it, and it does not exceed the number of people coming in just for liquor. And we're meeting state times and requirements as far as listing ages, as far as having a scanner, as far as registers not working before 7 a.m. or after 2 a.m. All that is handled.
What then about staffing? How many people do you have on staff today, and how many would you have, assuming this is approved?
Again, we're 10-15% increase. We may add one more personnel to the area, and that we hire within the local area.
Okay.
Commissioner Griffiths?
There's been a lot of opposition to gas stations this year, and there's also a lot of gas station businesses that try to come in the city of Southfield. And I don't think that's on trial here tonight. I think for the benefit of everybody, this is a broad question, but can the planning department kind of succinctly identify the requirements for this approval, just so for everyone's knowledge? There seems to be a lot of just not in my backyard comments, but this isn't, I don't think any of us said we need more liquor stores in Southfield. I think it was passed down from the top down to our review. So I don't know if that's something we could.
Planner Crowe, would you
Yeah,
address that?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Payson. If you could just, there are some special land use specific regulations dealing with alcohol sales at gas stations. And I'll have him go through
Unfortunately,
the
I
list.
don't actually have a copy of the code with me, but they meet all of the dimensional standards, and they also exceed the parking requirement by about 50%. So they're meeting all of those dimensional standards. This would not require any variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals to proceed.
Yeah, so this particular address was approved as a gas station when it was a gas station only. They're here again to be approved adding liquor, and they meet all the rules originally, and they meet all the rules again.
Yeah, I will reiterate that there's no additional parking requirements because we look at the entire retail space to determine what the parking needs are, as well as the pumps. So they meet the parking requirements. They're not adding in any additional square footage. They're just changing the inventory of what they're selling on the inside. Some of the special land use requirements, I know, for example, is that you can't have any exterior sales. If you have an ice chest, it has to be accessible, and it has to be on an accessible route. So we can confirm what those requirements are, but there's the general special land use considerations with traffic and circulation, which has been reviewed. Hours of operation, which are controlled by the state liquor. This is not liquor consumption on site. This is sales of beer, wine, and liquor for consumption off-site. So we've vetted all those issues, and typically when we look at existing situations they want to expand or enlarge, we make sure that they're in compliance with our zoning ordinance today, not what was necessarily approved 10 or 20 years ago.
So I think to that point, I don't see this as being a major magnet for someone to buy alcohol. I think if you're already there, you go. If you're down the road, you go there. If you're down the other side of the road, you go there. So I think it feels like an inconvenient location and site plan, and it's congested, and I don't personally go there. I'm very close to you. I personally avoid most gas stations in the city of Southfield. It's just something I do. I don't know, they don't feel comfortable to me, so I don't go there. But you meet the rules, so I don't have any opposition to you. I don't think it's gonna, I think Southfield Road has existed for 50 years or longer. There's already cars on the road. There's not new cars because you start selling beer today. I don't think it changed. I don't think anyone notices this changes, so I don't have an opposition to it. I'm not for it, I'm not against it. I don't think it changes anything. That's all.
Commissioner Goodwin-Dye?
How much of an increase in traffic do you expect with the sale of alcohol?
With other operations that we've had in the past, it doesn't exceed probably less than 10%. It's the people that are within our shopping, our old original clients that come in that use it. It's not drawing so many more. Everyone has their own, areas. We're in a corner. Sure, it's a trafficy corner, but it's a traffic corner for everybody else on those four corners. It's no different than us. But the traffic does not increase according to what people are saying or thinking. It doesn't work like that. We're not taking 90% of the business from there. It's not even possible. If that was the case, we wouldn't be here today. We would have quit a long time ago. So it increases probably 10%, less than 10%, if we get that, on peak hours and off-peak hours. It's within the people that are already there that will use the convenience factor.
Through the chair, I just wanted to note, if you look at the recommended resolution for the special land use, the first 8 items are the standards for special land use approval for this district. So those are the standards you're supposed to consider when you decide what you're doing per the code. So if you want to read them right out of, they're in that recommended resolution, if you want to look at those for the
Planner
commissioners.
Crowe would like to hear those. Could you please go through them?
Sure.
But before you do that, let me make sure Commissioner Goodwin-Dye has concluded her question. Okay.
Yeah, I can give a quick summary of these. The first one is that the proposed use will be of such size and character that will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the general business district. Second is the location, size, intensity, and periods of operation are designed to eliminate any possible nuisance likely to emanate therefrom, which might be adverse to occupants of any other nearby permitted uses. And that's specifically referring to nuisances. The proposed use is in accord with the spirit and purpose of this chapter and is not inconsistent with or contrary to the objectives sought to be accomplished by this chapter, which would be the zoning ordinance, and principles of sound planning. 4, the proposed use is of such character and the vehicular traffic generated will not have an adverse effect or be detrimental to the surrounding land uses or to the adjacent thoroughfares. 5, the proposed use is such character, intensity, and range so as to eliminate any adverse effects resulting from noise, dust, dirt, glare, odor, or fumes. 6, the proposed use will not be adverse to the promotion of the health, safety, and welfare of the community. 7, the proposed use is designed and operated so as to provide security and safety to the employees and the general public. 8, the recommendation, that's just a general recommendation. No, that's actually 7 is the general. 8 is just a recommendation that they be, that the approval be based on what they've represented in terms of their plans
Okay.
and proposals.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any other comments or questions?
I think, if possible, Attorney Randy Simona addressed us a moment ago. I'd like to ask him a couple of questions if I could.
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you for the report.
No problem. Thank you.
a lot of
Sorry I
work-
had to get it to you guys last minute. It just took a while to compile, but I appreciate you reviewing it. Thank you.
A lot of work went into it, but you have a hypothesis that I think is interesting, and that is 0.2 of a mile.
I beg your
As a
pardon?
radius to evaluate whether or not there's a conflict or problem. You use 0.2 of a mile.
Yes.
And I am wondering, is there a source that I could find the 0.2 of a mile? Is it like Liquor Control Commission? Is there any commission or regulatory body that would suggest that number to restrict the number of, sales locations?
The Michigan Liquor Control Commission defers to cities, municipalities to decide the distances between locales. But again, just chiming on even what, when the commissioner was reading the criteria.
Excuse me, the public hearing has concluded. And Commissioner Willis, you can ask your specific questions, but I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to, you can answer his question, but that's about all.
Okay.
Oh, I was in the course of
Okay.
answering that question, yes.
So, so it's up to the city of Southfield to determine, let's say, any zoning restriction?
With regards to proximity of locations, yes, it's up to the city. I didn't find anything in the ordinance that had any number with regards to how close they're supposed to be.
And if I could, through the chair.
Yes.
When this was given to us to review and make recommendations by the city council, there were no distance separations between retail sales of alcohol and liquor. So there is nothing on, the city has the right to determine and put those separations on, and council, when they approved this, did not add that as one of the requirements.
I don't doubt that. I'm just wondering if there's anything we need to look at that would limit it, right? And so I just wanted to query if he had a regulation and ordinance,
Well,
something.
if I could, I skimmed his packet. Some of the information that he's referring to deals with liquor establishments for on-premise consumption. So I just want you to be aware that our charge is to look at what the requirements of the ordinance to allow as the general special land use requirements and any specific requirements dealing with alcohol sales at gas stations.
Do that again, I'm sorry.
As planning commissioners, you need to consider the general requirements of the special land use that Mr. Payson had read.
Okay.
And this is an existing facility that's already open 24/7, and their sales of alcohol are regulated by the state within certain limits of hours. There's no expansion to the existing facility that is conforming. One of the specifics that I mentioned is that gasoline filling stations shall not have any outside storage or retail display. One of the requirements is if you have alcohol sales, you can't have outdoor ice chests unless they meet the exterior ice chest requirements being barrier-free. So I'm just asking you to focus on what the ordinance requirements are before, when you make a decision. And even though the applicant's representative brought up a lot of relevant information, some of that information is not pertinent to this particular case.
Okay. Forgive me, I'm looking at proposal 6, recommendation 6. It talks about the general health, safety, and welfare of the community. And I would really wonder if in a situation like this, do you know of any situations where you can document damage to the health, safety, or welfare of a community when you had alcohol sales with this kind of density?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, I actually noted that in the letter that I wrote to you guys, that at tab 8, and I'll just read right here, it says, it's a report that was published by the U.S. National Institute of Health, which delineates public health concerns with alcoholism, alcohol dependency, and underage alcohol consumption in communities with a more saturated alcohol outlet density of 0.1, 0.25, and 0.5 miles around respondents' homes. So when I looked at that information, and that's what I used to base the 0.2 mile radius off of.
Okay. That gives me some insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed, there are several other people in the audience that want to speak. Unfortunately, I've closed the public hearing for this particular topic. If you would like to stick around, you have another opportunity to share your thoughts and comments in item G under public comment. Okay? I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. Commissioners, are there any other comments? Commissioner Martin?
I would like to point out that our job is to look at the zoning requirements and see that those things are met. We have no control over the businesses, just that they meet requirements. So that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Can I also clarify that question that you had, sir? The state of Michigan has lifted the area of competitive liquor licenses, number one. Number two, we are in a four-way highway lane. Even before they lifted that zoning, you were allowed to have that because it is a four-way license, just to clarify. So it does meet state requirements. It is not up to the city, it's up to the state.
Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any other comments? I'm ready to move on. To the department, is there a recommendation for PSLU 23-001? I'm sorry.
Yes, I do want to say the reason we hold public hearings is to get input from the public. And we did receive some additional information at the late hour. And you have fulfilled your requirements of holding the public hearing. I'm going to recommend that we postpone to a date certain of next month. We do respect the public's comments, and I do want to be able to answer your questions. So I'm asking the commission to consider postponing to a date certain to give us time to review all the information that was presented tonight, and that we can provide informed responses to the Planning Commission's questions.
What date?
Our next regular meeting in January.
January 24th.
Commissioners, the department is suggesting that we postpone our vote on, we're going to do the site plan as well. We're going to do both, correct?
Yes.
We're going to a date, postpone the items regarding the property at 24848 Southfield Road, specifically PSLU 23-0017, special use public hearing, and PSP 23-0017, site plan review to a date certain, which is January 24th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Martin and second by Commissioner Willis that we postpone to date certain of January 24th, 2024, items related to 24848 Southfield Road, specifically PSLU 23-0017, special use public hearing, PSP 23-0017, site plan review. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. And we'll be prepared to respond to all the issues that were raised tonight.
Okay. All right, moving right along, we're going to look at item E, 24960 Telegraph Road, specifically PZR 23-0003, rezoning, it's a public hearing, PSLU 23-0018, special use, public hearing, PSP 23-0018, site plan review. To the department, may I have some background, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. This is the southeast corner of Telegraph and 10 Mile, existing Marathon gas station. They're looking to do liquor sale addition as well.
Hold on, Tom, hold on. Okay, you may continue.
Yes, ma'am. As I said, this gas station is looking to add liquor sales as well, but also to do a building addition that will eventually accommodate a reconfiguration of the interior and a carry-out restaurant. They also need to do a rezoning of presently I-1 industrial. Gas stations used to be permitted in that district, so they're not anymore. So it's now legal non-conforming. So to do an addition or expansion, they would either need variances, which we don't give use variances, so the property would need to be rezoned to B3. Similar to the map we provided previously, the blue circle is the current site. The red diamond is a liquor store that's nearby, I think called the Treasure Chest? Treasure Island?
Treasure Island.
Treasure Island, correct. And then there's another gas station, kitty corner across the intersection there with the orange oval within that 1,000-foot radius. Close up of the site, you can see the existing canopy gas station. The addition they're proposing would be on the north side of the building where those 2 parking spaces are at. They'd be removing those. Existing conditions on the site, here's some site photos of the configuration. Come on now, there we go. Existing zoning, as I noted, is I-1. They're proposing a B3 zoning. It is B3 zoning north across 10 Mile, so that would be an expansion of the B3 district, so it would now be considered spot zoning, and it is consistent with the future land use map. A commercial office would be consistent with the B3 and the gas station use and carry out and retail. Site plan, once again, in this case, not making substantial changes to the site, but they are adding a sidewalk connection, adding bike racks, obviously the building addition on the north, freshen up the landscaping, and move the handicap spaces to the south side of the building. They had previously been on the north side of the building. We did do the parking calculation on this one as well. It also meets the parking requirement. Just note that now. They did provide us with some more detailed floor plans. On the right here, you see where it says phase 1 would be without the addition. That's how they were going to reconfigure to handle the beer, wine, and liquor sales in the short term, immediately. And then when the addition is built, the phase 2 on the left shows you how that would be reconfigured again to accommodate the changes. There's a little elevation rendering of the interior off to the right there that shows kind of the phase 2 finish look of that corner where the cashier would be with the liquor behind the counter, where the food counter would be, and then the racking in the middle. Elevations of the building, the main part of the building there on the right side is the existing elevation. The little bit taller square is the addition on the north side of the building, and then there's the view from actual 10 Mile on the right. Some photos of the interior. This shows mainly the area like along the wall behind the counter where likely where the liquor would be going. I believe we also have the petitioners present here if they would like to come up.
Hello everyone, my name is Isam Jawad, 24960 Telegraph Road.
Hello everybody, my name is Justin Jawad. I'm Isam's son.
I'm Tom Pastolka, I'm the architect for the project.
Well, why don't you guys give us a little background?
Like I stated last time before you, I've been there 21 years, now it's 22 years this month. The industry has been changing a lot, so I have to move on to get the liquor license and beer and wine to be staying in business regarding electric cars was coming, and all this industrial. I see another city is they not stay in business if they don't have combination to service their customer to be more convenience for them in this situation. That's why I'm asking to expand a little bit in my property, and plus to have this license to put in the city of Southfield.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to chime in. As my father said, we've been there for 22 years. I was born and raised in the city of Southfield, went to the old Buzzy Center from St. Mike's and so on. With the opportunity that you guys have given us as far as having a liquor license and having the ability to sell liquor, and then hopefully also with the ability to add the addition, it gives us the ability to compete against other businesses in the area. As you guys know, electric vehicles have crushed our industry. There's electric chargers in everybody's homes. We can't stop that. There's electric chargers in office building spaces, in the Meyer parking lot. There's electric chargers everywhere. We can't stop that. That's the inevitable. And for us to be able to stay competitive and to stay in business, it's very crucial for us to be able to adopt and move on into, be able to pivot into other different avenues of the area. And being able to sell liquor, beer, wine, spirits gives us that ability. As far as the impacts of it, I feel like you guys have already done your homework and studied those. Other cities have done their homework and studied those as well. So I don't think that's necessarily too much of a conversation. People have to follow rules, people have to follow laws, and it's a two-way street. We have to follow laws as well. So we have to make sure we're not selling to minors. We have to make sure if somebody comes in completely inebriated that we're not selling to them, and we're abiding by the rules of the state of Michigan. So as far as all that is concerned, I don't think it's more of a problem. It's more of an opportunity for us to help us succeed and to actually excel the city of Southfield.
Maintain to be there for a long time.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for PZR 23-0003, the rezoning. Is there any public here that is interested in sharing their thoughts regarding PZR 23-0003? Any public regarding PZR 23-0003? Any public regarding PZR 23-0003? Given none, I'm closing the public hearing for PZR 23-0003. I'm opening the public hearing for PSLU 23-0018, the special use.
Through the chair.
Yes.
We should act on the rezoning first, because we should take them individually, okay?
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind.
Not a problem.
You can open up discussion regarding the merits of the rezoning first, and then
Correct.
once that has been acted on, we can go to the next one.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Martin, we're looking at PZR 23-0003, the rezoning.
In your comment, you were mentioning the EV, electric vehicles, being something that's...
Through the chair, Mr. Martin, on this particular case, all we're considering is the merits of the rezoning itself, not any specific site plan issues or dealing with the gas station. So they're looking to rezone the property from I-1 industrial to B3. So if you want to have a discussion on the types of uses that are permitted in the I-1 versus what the B3, regardless if the gas station's there or not, the rezoning itself is on the merits of rezoning to B3. Then once we get into the special land use and the site plan, you can ask specific site plan questions.
That brings a question to mind from me to you then. EVs, electrical outlets for EVs, is that for industrial and for B3, or is that?
That is a site plan issue.
Okay,
We're
I got
talking
you.
about
Okay, I
whether or
got you
not,
then. Okay.
whether or not you want this to remain as an industrial zoning
Gotcha.
versus a B3, which is the a commercial zoning, and all of the types of uses that are permitted in the commercial zoning. So any one of our industrial types of uses, in theory, if they had enough land, could be built on here.
Okay, no questions.
Commissioner Willis.
Thank you. I hope I'm not offending. You are going to have a restaurant, am I correct?
Just to carry out.
If I could. Mr. Payson, can you read the uses that are permitted in the requested B3 district?
Can I borrow your code for just a second? Because
Sure.
I unfortunately.
Then I'll do it. Again, through the chair, we are considering going from an industrial zoning to B3, which is general business. Uses permitted in the general business are medical offices, including clinics and medical laboratories, banks and similar financial institutions, post offices, private clubs, lodges, nursery schools, photographic studios, photographic reproduction, funeral homes, personal services, stores of a generally recognized retail nature, veterinary clinics, publicly owned buildings, utility buildings, etc., establishments of trades such as electricians and plumbers, heating contractors, assembly halls, concert halls, religious institutions, and similar places of assembly, open-air retail sales, hotels, freestanding restaurants and carry-out restaurants, accessory buildings and uses, health and fitness clubs. And then uses permitted subject to special approval include recreation centers, motor vehicle washing when completely enclosed building, gasoline stations, and outside there's specific requirements for gasoline stations, outside storage, automobile repair and service facilities, automobile truck sales showrooms, drive-in fast food restaurants, open-air display, pawn shops, smoking lounges, shelters for homeless, soup kitchens, sexually oriented business, cabaret, and then there's the marijuana provisioning centers and retail. So this first subject is whether we want to keep it industrial or consider rezoning to B3, because once this gets rezoned, somebody could come in here, tear the gas station down, and either build anything that's in the permitted uses or come back for special land use. So all the questions should be specific to the types of uses that could be permitted in the B3.
I'm not sure. I thought restaurant was in that list. That's the only thing I wanted to know, if it was cooking on-site or...
But again, regardless of what's there, if once it's rezoned, somebody could come in the day after the rezoning and put any of the permitted uses. Once we get through the rezoning, and then we're dealing with the special land use on the gas station itself, that would be appropriate time to ask questions about how they're going to operate their carry-out restaurant or retail sales or whatever.
Fine. I'll pass.
Commissioner Griffiths.
So, pretty much every use we've reviewed on this commission since I've been here along Telegraph Road is not an allowed use. Somebody back in the day really screwed up the zoning along Telegraph Road, I think. This is not an industrial district. They were approved as an allowed use. Now, the city changed the rules on them. Now they have to come and get new approval again. So I don't think, the B3 is what a gas station should be at a major intersection. Telegraph Road is not an industrial park or corridor. Everybody has to go through this extra hurdle to do business in the city of Southfield on Telegraph Road. Every time this comes in front of me, I bring this up. I guess in theory, the city's trying to get you, I think, this should be approved as a B3 slam dunk because it should have always been a B3. It's not an industrial park. So I don't think this is a long discussion, although I'm making it a long discussion, because every building along Telegraph has to come and get this special approval to continue to exist or to reinvest in their building. It's unfair to real estate investors in the city of Southfield, but I think we make it easy, but it's a hurdle that they have to jump through, so.
Yeah, if I could, just to respond, remember, this was a township at one time.
Okay, yeah. it's already in
And
the
Telegraph was more inclined towards industrial uses, especially in South Telegraph Road. And then when we became a city, we adopted zoning ordinances. And so we have a lot of non-conforming situations or uses along there. And our job is to make them conforming. So in order to make this conforming, and we're supporting a rezoning to B3, and then that B3s allow gas stations as special land uses and the liquor sales as special land uses. But before we do that, we have to get it conforming. Now there is this, Mr. Griffiths, there is these uses that are not related to manufacturing and production in the industrial district. And I think a lot of these probably pre-existed the zoning, or they got in under that not related to, but that's really not the best way to do it. And so our job is to try to, again, make it as conforming as we can. To your point, this should be a B3 use. This is a corner. It looks, feels, tastes like a commercial intersection. But before we do that, we have to get the zoning in place first, and then we can deal with the special land use. Again, they can continue to be there as a non-conforming use, but they can't expand or enlarge the non-conformity, so that's why we have to go through the rezoning.
Okay. So I'm in favor of rezoning, and I think the limited size of the site is gonna, if it ever comes to a different site plan, will limit what can go in there. And I'm not gonna try to predict the future right now.
Commissioner Goodwin, are there any other questions related to specifically the rezoning of PZR 23-0003? Given none, is there a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Planning Department recommends favorable recommendation of PZR 23-003 to rezone the land at 24960 Telegraph Road from I-1 Industrial to B3 Business for the following reasons. The Southfield Comprehensive Master Plan indicates Southfield Technology Corridor use for this property, which includes interspersed commercial uses. The request to rezone from I-1 Industrial to B3 General Business would meet the master plan's goals, policies, and future land use map by allowing increased commercial use of this property along the Telegraph Road frontage. The proposed conditional rezoning, not a conditional rezoning, proposed rezoning to B3 General Business would allow for the existing gas station convenience store to exist as a conforming use and allow the additional uses permitted by the rezoning. We will be compatible with other auto-oriented commercial uses that dominate this part of Telegraph Road. And the site is likely to remain a gas station or similar use, as it has recorded restrictive use covenants imposed by the state of Michigan due to soil contamination related to its long history as a gas station. So it's actually been a gas station since the 50s. Also, like some of the other uses I would just note, some of the other uses on the B list, like the marijuana and some of the adult regulated uses, have spacing from residential that would be precluded on this site because there is residential within those distances. Okay. So they would not practically be usable. But we do recommend favorable recommendation.
Is there a motion to accept them?
I'd like to make a motion for favorable recommendation of PZR 23-0003, rezoning.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Griffiths and second by Commissioner Martin that we accept a favorable recommendation for PZR 23-0003. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to PSLU 23-0018, the special use, to the department.
Yes, ma'am. We do need to hold a separate public hearing on the special use. I don't know if you want to open that now.
You want to give us some background on the special use?
The special use basically has the similar standards as we discussed previously for the Southfield. It has the same zoning would be B3 if the rezoning were adopted. So it's those same 7 standards that we were discussing previously for reviewing a special land use. And in this case, they don't have any outdoor ice chests. The Southfield one had them, but they were going to do an ADA one. They had provided us a detail. This one does not have any ice chests or other exterior storage currently and is not intending to have it. They are looking to do some site improvements, sidewalk connections, bike racks, landscape refreshing, that, but most of the work will be interior and then eventually the addition to the building.
Okay. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for PSLU 23-0018, the special use. Is there any public that would like to share their thoughts or comments regarding PSLU 23-0018? Any public interested in sharing their thoughts regarding PSLU 23-0018? Given none, I'm closing the public hearing. Commissioner Martin.
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Willis.
No questions.
Commissioner Griffith.
It's strange that we have almost the exact same project 2 times in a row on the same night, so I feel like we need to make some of the same comments. I'm not for gas stations, I'm not against gas stations. This one is a similarly small, congested corner, but it was approved at the time. Just thinking about this today, though, again, there's 3 curb cuts on this very small site, on this very small angle, and the northernmost curb cut seems like that would not be approved if we were doing this again today. So, assuming we're going to consider this one longer, like we did the previous project, I'd like to take, or staff to take a closer look if that northwest curb cut should be eliminated for safety reasons, to limit the flow of traffic. When we're talking about rezoning, so, or the special use. You know, there appear to be meeting all the other special use criteria with the barrier-free improvements and connectivity and the minor improvements to the flow of the site. So I'm thinking they're meeting the requirements of special use.
Planner Crowe.
Yeah, just to Mr. Griffith's comment, the Telegraph Road is under the jurisdiction of MDOT, and 10 miles under the jurisdiction of the Road Commission of Oakland County, and they have the right to issue access via drives. Our new deputy city engineer is trained in transportation engineering, and Mr. Payson can correct me, but he is now involved in all of our reviews. So I believe he signed off on it. But those are good comments, and we do look at those. But ultimately, the applicant would have to, as you know, on other redevelopments, just because a curb cut's there doesn't mean that they're going to get permitted to keep it. But I do know there's 3 different agencies reviewing these driveway access in this particular case.
Which is no fun, and I hate to suggest that.
Yeah, and I just through the chair, one of the things that makes Telegraph a little different is it's boulevarded. It's right turn in, right turn out only. There's no lefts at that driveway, so it's a little different animal than the one at Southfield where you do get left turns going on. In the case of Telegraph, because it's boulevarded, it is a more controlled traffic situation.
Good point. Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner Goodwin-Dye? Commissioner Martin?
You were mentioning before about the things that some of the reasons you were expanding, and one of the things you mentioned was electric vehicles. I don't notice any electrical vehicle plugs on your new floor plan. Do you have any plans on adding EV?
At this time, no, we don't have it.
But we are considering them. It's just that the ones that are out as far as for a commercial place, they're not as efficient as the ones that we need them to be. Like the ones that are at home or the ones that are in parking lots or hotels, they have a longer charge time. So they charge anywhere from like 3 to 4 hours to 6 hours. And the ones that are currently out, they're still like a half-hour charge time. So like for somebody to be coming and parking on the pump or in a parking space for a half hour, 40 minutes, that hurts our business. So as of right now, no, but until they come out with stronger chargers, more efficient chargers, where we can get a car in and out in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then of course, we would definitely have that, because that would be comparable to what fuels and gasoline is.
That's another thing we worry about it, to bring more convenience to the store. We can generate more income with the liquor, with beer and wine, and combination of all what the customer asking about it, you know. So it would be something like in and out to grab something they need and leave. It's not like they come exactly to shop at the liquor store.
Okay, is there a recommendation?
If I could.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Could you state the hours of operation of your proposed restaurant? Your takeout?
From 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And that's 7 days a week?
Probably Sundays will be shorter.
Well,
I don't,
this
you
is
need the
part
exact-
of, this,
So-
part of
so-
the special land use can dictate hours of operation. So we would like you to tell us what you
Sure, yeah.
prefer, and then that the approval will be subject to you meeting those hours of operation.
I understand. So like 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
10 a.m.
on Sundays?
to 8 p.m. on Sunday.
And 7 to 8 Monday
7
through
8
Saturday.
Monday through Saturday. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Martin?
What would be your hours of operation for liquor sales?
So those will be according to the state guidelines. So as the state has indicated, you're only allowed to sell liquor between 7 a.m. and 2 a.m. And then following that, there's no sales. And then Sunday mornings, it's from 12 to 2, but then there's an extra purchase or license or whatever it is that you're allowed to have to be able to enable you to have sales from 7 a.m. So whatever the state guidelines are, we would be following those.
Okay, here again, as Mr. Crowe said, we have to specify the hours within.
So 7 to 2 Monday through Saturday, and 7 to 2 with the extra certification, Sunday 7 to 2 on Sundays as well.
So Mr. Payson can include as the condition of approval that the hours of sales of beer, liquor, and wine will be subject to the state's. So at least that part's covered. The carryout is a different hours of operation, and you're 24/7?
Correct.
Yeah, so the overall store, C-store gas station is 24/7. The carryout is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sundays, and then the liquor is 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and then whatever the Sunday allocations, and we can immortalize that in the recommendations to council.
Along with their license approval.
Yeah, that, I mean,
Yeah.
that is subject
Yeah.
to license approval from both the city and the state.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions? Is there a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. The Planning Department recommends favorable recommendations of the special use request from Tom Pastolka, representing Sam Jawad, to permit the building addition and addition of liquor sales and carry-out restaurant to an existing gas station on the property at 24960 Telegraph Road. The general conditions of site special land use that we discussed previously: harmonious, consistent in character, not causing a nuisance, reasonable traffic circulation, not causing nuisances for dust, dirt, glare, or odor, and not adverse to health, safety, welfare. Proposed use to provide for security and safety of the employees and general public, and that the recommendation based on the documents, facts, representations, stipulations submitted out with the application and placed on the record at the public hearing by the petitioner and their representatives. Which one? Sorry, yeah, just wait, yep. And we have conditions subject to the approval of PZR 23-003 by the City Council, which is a rezoning, subject to the approval of the site plan, BESP 203-0018 by City Council, subject to approval to the required setback variances by the Zoning Board of Appeals that were noted in your report. They would need a building setback from 10 Mile and a building setback from the rear from the Zoning Board of Appeals, and would be subject to continuous, also any recommendations of the Southfield Police Crime Prevention Bureau regarding site security, and continuous compliance with all applicable ordinances, codes, laws, and statutes, petitioner must perform work under plans, permits, and final inspections by the city of Southfield. And the hours of operation previously discussed will be incorporated.
Is there a motion? Commissioners, is there a motion?
Sorry.
I'd like to make a motion for favorable recommendation of a special use, PSLU 23-0018.
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Griffiths and supported by Commissioner Willis that we accept the favorable recommendation for PSLU 23-0018. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving right along, we're going to look at PSP 23-0018, the site plan review. Is there any additional information from the department or staff regarding this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Martin?
None at this time.
Commissioner Willis?
I started asking about your restaurant, and you said it was just carry-out food. Will you do food preparation at all on-site, or will this be like packaged food from another source?
No, everything will be packaged on site, so it'll be either to order where, you know, customer comes in, they put the order. It's typically going to be ready-made food, so comfort foods as far as French fries, chicken tenders, and pizza, and some deli sandwiches.
Okay.
Some of that may be packaged and put into the deli cooler, but that's the extent of it. We're not running like a five-star restaurant or something. Even though it'll taste like a five-star restaurant, it's just going to be small and easy and lean and mean. That's about it.
Okay. I can't think of anything now.
Okay, Commissioner Griffiths?
Thank you for reminding me that the boulevard situation on Telegraph makes it a lot more safe for traffic, so I retract my earlier comment about removing a driveway. I think the small addition, when you see the two floor plans, it really improves the flow of their business and handicap accessibility, it looks like on the inside, and so I think that's a good reason to allow the improvements. They're checking all the boxes on the site, plan requirements and connectivity to the sidewalks and all the things that we ask everybody for. And there's mention of a variance requirement along 10 Mile, and it looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, the building just to the east of them is very close to 10 Mile, so again, that doesn't bother me to kind of fill in that corner.
I believe that's because gas stations have a specific different setback from the general setback, and that's what's triggering that.
Okay, that's all.
Commissioner Goodwin-Dye? I just have one comment. As it relates to the neighboring liquor store, I think at our site, at our study session, you all had a conversation with that proprietor. Can you share some background about that for public record?
Yeah, it was just a simple conversation of where we had a good relationship with the owners from before. They were great people, good relationship. And then when they went to go sell, the new owners came in. We actually knew them from previous to that, and we told them, the city of Southfield is going along this road, and many other cities are, where they're going to be allowing this ordinance of liquor inside of gas stations and beer and wine. And he literally looked at us and said, good luck. Wish you the best. We're a specialty store. We know what we know, and you guys are going to be convenient. And that was it.
All right, thank you. Is there a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Just slide here. Okay. The Planning Department recommends favorable recommendation of the site plan request for the addition and liquor sales and carry out at the gas station at 24960 Telegraph Road. All the developed features are located so as to minimize the possibility of any adverse impacts on adjacent properties and to relate properly to pedestrian and vehicular traffic safety. The site plan does not show that access is provided, or does show that access is provided only to major or secondary thoroughfares, in this case 10 Mile and Telegraph, and has a proper relationship with those roads for traffic safety. And the recommendation is based on the documents, facts, representation, stipulations submitted with the application and placed on the record at the public hearing by the petitioner or the representatives. We are recommending conditions, once again, that the PZR 23003, subject to the approval of that rezoning, subject to approval of the special land use by City Council, subject to approval to the required setbacks by the zoning board. The site and building to be developed in accordance with the plan set that's before you, dated November 9th, and the petitioner to implement any recommendations from the Southfield Police Crime Prevention Bureau for site security and continuous compliance with all applicable ordinances, codes, laws, statutes, and the petitioner must perform all work under plans, permits, and final inspections by the city of Southfield.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we accept favorable recommendation of PSP 23-0018.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Goodwin Dye and second by Commissioner Martin that we accept the favorable recommendation for PSP 23-0018. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving right.
Thank you, Jeremy. Next time you wanna go to the gas station, you can come to my gas station, please. That would be very easy.
I don't buy gas in
I
Southfield.
wanna make you happy.
No. I want to ride my bike.
All right, moving right along, we're going to take a look at the minutes. Background on the minutes, please.
All right. Yes, ma'am, we've got the minutes from October 11th, October 25th regular meeting, the November 15th study meeting. We had a study meeting in November, so we didn't actually approve any minutes from October, so we've got to kind of clean up the approval of the October and the November meetings. I will note that the October 25th meetings, because that was a regular meeting and we've moved to doing transcripts, is a chunky document because it's not just like a summary minutes, it's a transcript done by a court reporter. So it is a much more thorough and complete document. We will be doing that going forward with regular meetings. It was recommended by our legal department. It was something that was done previously, and we're returning to that practice. Planner Code got us budget for that for this year. So that's what you'll be seeing for your regular meeting minutes is those transcripts, whereas the study meetings will continue to be summative in terms of their minutes. But we do need to get the 3 of those approved, ideally this evening.
And just as a note, I have in my packet 2 summaries and an actual transcript with some lines delineating, making some changes.
Yeah, we had mistakenly had titles on there. Unfortunately, I had a roster that was a little out of date that got to the transcriptionist, and we had the vice chair misidentified, so we were correcting that. I've corrected the roster since then and provided an updated roster to the transcriptionist.
And I would support that.
Is there a motion?
To Chair, like to approve, I motion to approve the minutes of October 11th, November 25th for the study meeting, October 11th for the study meeting, and the transcript for October 25th as corrected.
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Martin and second by Commissioner Griffiths that we accept the minutes October 11th, 2023, October 25th, 2023, November 15th, 2023, and there was another one. What was the other one?
No.
Oh, that was it?
Corrected.
The corrected.
25th, October
The corrected
25th.
25th. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving towards public comment, given that there's nobody here but us now, we're going to skip this section. We're now on item H, council item update. Planner Crowe.
Well, I believe we gave you an update from the earlier session, and this upcoming Monday, Planning Department is making a presentation on Make Food Not Waste. It's about recycling of food waste to reduce the amount that are going into our landfill. That's our only planning item for this month.
Okay. Next on our agenda is item I under miscellaneous, and the department has quite a few items here.
Yes.
Have at it.
And before we go into our formal, I know Mr. Payson had prepared a brief description of the Michigan liquor licenses for you.
Yes.
So what we were dealing with tonight is considered specially designated merchant, SDM. And that is for convenience stores, grocery stores, and gas stations. And note that no local legislative approval is required for this license. We will make sure that our conditions recommendation is subject to the Michigan liquor licensing being approved for a specially designated merchant. But unlike other liquor sales on premises that does require local city approval. These do not.
Thank you.
Yeah, those summaries were kindly provided by the city attorney.
Thank
She
you.
had used them with regard to the legislative committee of the council, so it's good information. Talking about the annual report, I'm going to come to the center podium here.
Okay.
Make sure I've got a good mic pickup here. All right, so we're doing the 2023 annual report. Since this was your last meeting of the month, we didn't think there'd be any new stuff sneaking in afterward, hopefully. So this first slide just discussed the requirement to have an annual report that's in the Zoning Enabling Act. Just, why are we doing this? It's a requirement of the law. It's also a good practice at the end of the year to kind of sum up where you've been and what you've done in order to think about what you want to do next. We do have just kind of an overview of the structure here. You got obviously the commission and then the planning department staff work as a team. We do a lot of activities. We're going to talk about a lot of the activities we do here kind of as an overview. First thing coming up here, just all the meetings. There were 24 planning commission meetings this year. Been a busy year. 10 study meetings, 12 regular meetings, 2 long-range study meetings. And then in addition to that, the planning staff also works with administers the City Center Advisory Board. That's Planner Crode primarily with Planner Bollin's assistance. We also do the Public Arts Commission. That's another one that we work with. And then the Sustainable Southfield Advisory Board, which is a relatively new body that came out of our Sustainable Southfield Master Plan. We've now stood that body up to provide assistance moving that agenda forward. And then we don't administer the Zoning Board of Appeals, but Sarah Mullally in our office provides them with reports and some professional advising. One of the big things we've done is a fair number of zoning amendments. I was counting these, and there's over a dozen, I believe. Depending on exactly how you count them and how they were clustered, you come up with about 15. So we've looked at some uses we've added, data processing centers, liquor sales and gas stations, heavy equipment sales, government facilities with outdoor storage. We've done a couple definition corrections, like the city planner. We did corrected some fence ordinance problems that were causing a lot of our residents who had corner lots serious problems because they were applying the structure setback of 25 feet to the fences. We actually increased the lot coverage allowed for single-family residential from 25 to 30%, which hopefully will eliminate a bunch of zoning amendments or zoning variances by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Just some minor corrections like public art and front yards and a few other cleanup items, the ice chests and those having to be ADA accessible, and expanding the Northland Overlay District to include 16025 Northland Drive. Just kind of an overview. It's actually quite a diverse list of things that we've engaged in terms of zoning amendments. Looking at commission review, just sort of other activities. Obviously, there was a visiting session for 2023 for the planning commissioners. You had a joint session with the city council, which is something we will need to do in 2024 again. That's part of our redevelopment ready communities, is that should happen at least once annually. I think we're targeting, after the holidays, but, before spring. We're looking to get that on the calendar. It's a little busy because there'll be CIP and budget issues going on as well, but we'll figure it out. We've been providing regular reports on the council actions. When the council takes actions, we're reporting back to you to let you know, more consistently what's going on, so you get that feedback loop. Capital improvement program is planned as something that the planning department really helps administer. It'll come to this body, obviously, for hearings, as it is required to by law, for recommendations then to city council. That's just kicking off kind of right now. Probably really get rolling right after the holidays. Planning department's had some staff transition, hired a planner one, hired the deputy city planner. We had assistant city planner Spence retire, and then Planner Crode was involved in interviewing the new DDA director, who has been chosen and appointed and is coming on board pretty soon. Then we had the LTU summer camp, which has been for a few years now. Many of these photos are the students who were involved in the summer camp, a very successful program, very positive program. It's doing all right, and hopefully grow it, I believe, and get some more students involved. We had some research that was done on accessory dwelling units, mother-in-law houses, tiny homes. That's one of the things we want to talk about in this coming year in a little more detail. Honeybee and poultry ordinance research, and we've had a lot of interest from members of the public coming forward on this urban agriculture topic, so that's another one we're going to talk about probably this year. The Wildlife Commission, the council are also interested in seeing maybe some movement on that. We're going to continue to try to move the site plan review authority discussion that we started in November, or you started previously, but we had again in November. I'm going to bring that back again with some of the additional information that was requested at that. And then the professional offices as a permitted use in the B zoning districts, we're going to come back with a more kind of complete comprehensive analysis comparing the various districts and their uses for you for that as well. Probably going to try to get those two on a study meeting in January or February at the latest. Depends how much I can jam through how much of the additional research I can get done over the next 2 weeks. Really want to talk a little bit and highlight our sustainability efforts since the master plan was adopted. The advisory board's been stood up. The task force of key employees has been stood up. A number of additional, like some grants and some additional programs are getting moving. We've done some survey work. So this has really been launched. It came off the master plan being adopted, and we've got Suzanne Hanna, who's our sustainability planner, really moving this forward and involved in getting that forward. We're hoping to get a draft of that sustainability plan out there for, a more complete look at it sometime maybe later this year. It's an ambitious goal because it's a kind of big undertaking, but she's working on it. And as you can see, we've looked at she's involved in the EV Smart program. We've had some tree grants we've gotten. We're doing the pollinator garden by the butterfly sculpture over by Eaton Core. Did those solar bollards over by Red Pole Park. Those actually came out of someone did the product development out of the LTU accelerator, so that was kind of a nice local synergy there. Working on getting certified maybe as a Michigan Green community, and I had just actually introduced Ms. Hanna to the LEED for Communities, which is a new standard that you can get your actual community or your city, LEED for existing cities, certified at various levels. It's a nice scoring system that could give you some good metrics. So it's a variety of fronts we're working on, but it's very exciting and it's coming along. So we haven't been sitting on our hands since the master plan was adopted. This is all kind of getting stood up over the last several months. The staff has been getting a fair amount of training, very active lately. The National Planning Conference, I believe, Terry, you attended that. And then we had staff members attend the Michigan Planning Annual Conference. We've also had planners go to the Spring Institute and the Transportation Bonanza. We've been to Oakland County events and trainings, SEMCOG events, and the National Brownfield Conference, which was in Detroit. And Terry and I believe Administrator Zorn did a presentation about Northland for that. So that was very exciting. We got some press on that, because we're getting cranes, probably some other coverage. We're looking at the 2023 Planning Commission and Department activities, just some summaries on the land use activities. Our 1 rezoning, 4 conditional rezonings, so 5 rezonings total, 17 special land uses, 19 site plans, 1 ODD, 6 text amendments. Now the text amendments included pieces, that's how we get to 15, because some of those included multiple parts on different topics, and then 46 administrative site plan reviews processed. So altogether, the proposed development value, a little over $78 million. Comparing it to last year, $300 million, it seems low, but $250 million of last year's was Middle Point, the Middle Point project by itself. So if you take Middle Point out of the picture, it was $50 million compared to $78 million this year. And that's the administrative site plan work and the stuff that came to the commission. So, I would say a healthy amount of growth. Middle Point, I think, is still progressing, but they're looking to fund a gap there. They're looking for to work out their financing a little bit. Just some project highlights. We just wanted to kind of show some of the projects we've looked at this year and highlight. The Clean Express car wash on Southfield that was approved, $5 million of value there. The Culvers on Southfield, that's a $1.2 million project. The Habitat for Humanity on Westland Drive, another $1.2 million, providing affordable housing. Northland Storage, ODD, that's rehabbing that AT&T building that's over there, putting it back into use and maybe having mixed use on the remainder of the site where the parking lot is. The Jasmine Square on Losher, and McAllister Machinery on Telegraph, another $1 million project. And then the Matic Auto Wash, which was here recently, that's a demo of a derelict building and redevelopment of the site, about $4 million. And then the new gas station that was recently approved at Northwestern and 12 Mile on that corner at $1.4 million. We got the cigar bar restaurant private club where Baco is at. That's a major remodel and facelift of that building, $4 million. And then the new storage building at the DPW facility on Clara Lane. So we do one of the things we actually want to discuss, instead of just summarizing, is this list here is highlighted because this is the list of initiatives that were in the 2023, for 2023 in the 2022 report. And we wanted to go through this list with you and see which of these things we need to continue to move forward, talk about which ones have been addressed, and maybe what we might want to add to it for the coming year. Because one of the things this report is supposed to include is recommendations for priorities for the coming year. So it's definitely worth discussing, and it's, in some ways, this is kind of the meat and potatoes of like, well, okay, this is what we've done, but what are we doing next? So I think that's the summary of it, and I think we can just, if we want to have a little bit of the chair wants to kind of conduct a little bit of a roundtable discussion on these items and which items stay, which items go, and which items might need to be added. That would really help the staff to kind of tune this in and know where we need to prioritize our work in the coming year to make sure the commission's priorities are being addressed. And that's what I have for the presentation.
Okay. I'm looking for the list so we can get started on it.
In the package, the front page looks like this. Oh, I didn't include the old initiatives in the new report. It was included in the PowerPoint for discussion, but I didn't want to include the old list in the new report because obviously this is the new report. But
we don't want to.
I can go through the list. I can just read them off.
We don't want to prejudice you. I'd like to just see are the things that you like to focus on for us to focus on. If it's already on there, we'll keep it on there. I can tell you, like for example, the potential expansion of the mixed-use corridor district, that was done. Right. So some of these things we've completed, but we just want to get some input from you on areas that you would like us to focus on. We have some of our priorities, and we'll just combine those when we present to council. So you can look at this list as a prompt, but we're really looking for if you have any particular areas that you would like us to focus on this coming year. We have a changing world. Businesses are changing. We're always trying to stay active. I think the one thing that I'm proud of, if you look at comprehensively all the training that our team has gone to, is we try to be abreast of best practices. And we're constantly bringing new information back to the team, to the commission, to the city. And we are proactively updating our ordinance. And then sometimes we have to pivot because of situations such as council wanted alcohol sales at gas stations that was previously prohibited. And we had to pivot when we had too many dollar stores, so we had to come up with some regulations. We had to pivot when, caregiver marijuana became medical marijuana, became recreational marijuana. So there are some things that are always out of our control, but there are things like accessory dwelling units that we've talked about, mother-in-law apartments, that might be a good idea to help provide more affordability and increased density. As Mr. Payson had indicated, we're going to be looking at urban agriculture and reviewing that this upcoming year, but there might be other topics that each of you are either interested or aware of or said, you know, I've been reading topics in the newspaper and you would like us to work on. So that's what we'd like to save a few minutes and get some input from you. And then we'll compile that with our wish list before you adopt and make a recommendation to present this to council.
Commissioner Martin?
I just have a couple of things I didn't notice on there, but maybe I just didn't see. We had some things going on with the 9-mile corridor and with the 11-mile corridor. We met over at in Oak Park, I think it was.
Yeah, the 9-mile task force is actually meeting next week.
Yep.
They're pulling together to do that.
I was just saying those are things I might have just missed them.
Yeah, so we have that general comment of non-motorized transit, public transit, neighborhood enhancements. But to your point, since we had this general vision, we now have the 9-mile corridor task force that Mr. Pace and I will be attending next week. The plan was adopted as we've reported to you before. Now we're focusing on implementation.
And the 11-mile thing they had to have a kind of a public input meeting as part of a grant application
Yeah,
that we're
to go
applying
through,
for.
yeah.
We applied for the same grant on other projects, and no one's really expecting to hear back on that grant until January, February, because it's federal grant, it takes them time to process that. There's a lot of federal grant money out there, but it's also a lot of people applying for those buckets of money.
But I think to the point is, when we list activities for 2024, Tom, we can specifically say 9-mile corridor, 11-mile corridor.
Sure, yeah, we can list those.
We're also, yesterday I had a joint meeting with Oak Park. We're going to be focusing on shared beautification of Greenfield between 8 and 9 mile. So we can include the Greenfield Road beautification as one of our priorities for 2024.
You can almost keep the header and just add the subtopics as specific focus areas, so that we know, because I always say, if everything's important, nothing's important. So like you say, yeah, we want to do these enhancements, but here's what we're focusing on right now to get some impact. But if there are other topics, like I know Commissioner Griffiths was just commenting on, he sees a pattern of zoning issues that comes up over and over again before this commission. Those would be good things to say, you know what, we want to engage that issue. Like the thing we saw with general office in the B districts being either not permitted or a special use. That's the sort of thing, if the commission sees those patterns and thinks they should be addressed, that's the kind of direction we're also looking for.
Commissioner Martin, you have any other comments?
I just had a couple things I was going to send to you about training, because Ms. Bermudi and I did a couple of webinars.
Okay.
And there was one thing on the list. You had the bees. You had 2 webinars with the same title on there. That was all.
Okay, I'll double check that list. And if you've got additional ones we don't have on there, just email them to me.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Yep. We'll add them in. I know Commissioner Willis did send us one that we added to the list that he took.
I think I missed something.
I think I believe you sent us an email with a training that you had taken when we asked about trainings. Okay. So we added that to the list. Yeah. If anyone else has any trainings that aren't on that list that's in the report that they think should be added, just email it to me and I'll add it to the list.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And if there's training the commission is interested in having, or types of training you're interested that we can research for you to see what's available, that's something that we can assist with as well.
Commissioner Martin?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was reading the list. That's,
all right.
I'm
Commissioner
done.
Willis?
I don't know if we can impact this at all, because I don't think it has a physical location in Southfield. But Comcast and the way email is delivered as a utility into the city is really strange. Comcast has a monopoly, AT&T shares a little bit, and I don't know if we could look at a way to, find a way to ensure that we can zone it so that it works best for tomorrow. They seem to just have a profit center. Again, I don't have a method for it, but I hate Comcast. Okay.
Commissioner Griffiths?
Well, I think going back 10 years or so, I've said the word mixed use, and what does that mean? Well, it's good that we're continuing to evolve, and this mixed use corridor districts, and at least it's the open-mindedness to, these are the kind of buildings we have in this city. They're small buildings, and the market is kind of dictating, like, if there's an office user that wants to come into your 4-unit strip center, why is that not allowed? At least the open-mindedness is going the right direction, and how can we start to implement these little updates of 1960s buildings? And the new buildings are, I want to say, easy in a way because you're starting from scratch, but then there's always this financing piece of how do you get a building built? Well, no one trusts a speculative retail development, so I did design a building in a different city, and they just said, we want all business. Well, no one's going to fund that. So we were able to build 5 townhouses hooked to a very small office, like flex space, and they approved us. So that wasn't exactly the letter of the law, but like our commission has, there's some oh yeah, that's what we were thinking, and that I see how that works to this, the particular buildings that we have in our city. So that's been positive. Even giant office center with a sea of parking around it that now becomes a self-storage. Well, that's not exciting, but what's exciting is the sea of parking gets redeveloped as the next buildings, and we've had a few of those come through. So it's not the most glamorous version of what you think is mixed use, but it's our mixed use, and it's starting to be implemented, which I think is a good thing. So more of the same. The accessory dwelling units item is really interesting to me. And I think of that as more dense urban places, like your downtown Detroit carriage houses from back when there was alleys, and your college towns where there's all these things. But what can we do here on our bigger lots? Like, we have plenty of space. Why not have an accessory unit? I think that's great. So that's exciting.
We actually, I think within the last couple of days, we got a proposal to do a duplex with a little more, second two-story duplex as opposed to the Habitat version. And, we have some of our older single-family districts that have a lot of vacant lots. And if we can get duplexes that at least are not out of character, too much out of scale, that increases density and it helps with affordability. So that's another area we're gonna take a closer look to see if our attached residential is the best fit for that, or maybe we need to create a new district to allow possibly the 2 to 4 family, the missing middle housing in some of our quote-unquote single-family districts.
Yeah, a lot of communities are experimenting with allowing those, like, within single-family districts by right. Like, they're redefining single-family districts to be like anything up to 2 to 3 to 4 units. If the lot can meet certain development standards and the massing of the structure fits into the neighborhood reasonably well.
And to add to that real quick, we have had some interest in the mixed-use corridor. We've had some projects brought to us in the last couple months, so it's starting to get some traction.
Awesome.
Commissioner Goodwin-Dodd? I have a couple of things I'd like for you all to consider. A more proactive approach to the rezoning, for example, from the industrial to the general business, as opposed to waiting for petitioners to approach us. Maybe we could take a look at rezoning some of those, especially like along Telegraph, some of those places that we want to provide opportunities so that developers won't have to have that step. That step has already been done. So that's something to think about. I would also like to, I agree with Commissioner Griffiths with the mixed use. The more we start to look at encouraging people to look at those properties in different ways, I think that that's a good thing, and being a little bit more open to what that configuration would look like, because we may not have thought of everything. So just being a little bit more open to it. So those are the two things that I'd like to see us focus in on. Oh, and there's one other thing. The, what is it? Which one is it? Site plan reviews. Site plan reviews done at the commission level. Department level.
We are planning on taking that to council sometime probably in the first quarter of 2024. That's also needed for us to retain our redevelopment ready certification. And given the holidays, the election, and some backfilling of projects, we just need some time to bring it to council. But that is our goal, is hopefully the first quarter, no later than the second quarter of 2024. And that also would be a lively discussion when we have our joint meeting. So,
has our joint meeting been scheduled?
Well, not yet, but we will plan on doing it either late first quarter, early second quarter, similar to what we did last year.
It might make sense to, just because of the schedule, I was looking at the calendar, after you've had the hearings on the CIP, would probably be a better time to try to fit another meeting in, because up to that point, it's going to be a little busy.
Yeah, and then May and June are there's a number of extra meetings for budget adoption, so we got to find the right time. But we will, we plan on doing that annually now.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Commissioner Martin?
Has anything been done or said to look at some of these buildings that are vacant? I know the Ramada Inn, I was surprised to see that it was deteriorating, so converting those to residents? Or the one on Northland Drive, I forget what the...
Well, as a matter of fact, Northland Drive, we are constantly discussing with multiple developers on multiple former hotels and office buildings about conversions. Some of which are storage, which we're not that excited about, residential, some mixed use, and some of these properties are under bankruptcy or have other structural code violations that hamper redevelopment. I was in discussions with the trustee of the bankruptcy court today on 1600 J.L. Hudson, the former Michigan Inn and Plaza, for some redevelopment, for some both temporary use and for long-term use. I had a developer contact me yesterday from Chicago inquiring about a nursing facility for seniors. So we have those phone calls all the time, but if we don't have control, site control in many cases.
Yeah.
And so, and two in particular, they're tied up with either court or trusted agency that is managing them until they can find a viable option. And as you know, as these buildings, the longer they stay vacant, the more problems and issues that they have. Whether it's flooding, whether it's vandalism, whether it's fire, whether it's...
just deterioration in general.
Just general deterioration because they're not boarded up properly. So we're constantly dealing with that on a number of our vacant properties. The old Reynolds aluminum building headquarters was a Vic Tanny. They had a flood. All that water is mold and mildew and damage, and
it spreads.
It just creates a more difficult, more expensive redevelopment.
Commissioners, are there any other feedback for the department? Given now we're going to move, Tom, are we done with all your items here?
Yeah, that covers the annual report, and I
Okay.
think we're going to come back with the final version after we finalize this list for you to adopt next month to send on to council. The next item up would be adoption of the next year's calendar, which I sent in your packet for the 2024 calendar. If this calendar is acceptable, if we could adopt that.
Okay, Commissioners, please take a look at the proposed calendar. Are there any questions? Comments? Is there a motion?
I have a question.
Yes.
We have the SIP in February 21st. Did we do that? We did that in one day before?
Yeah, those typically start at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
We try to get them done within 2 to 3 hours, just given the amount of departments that have to come. And so that's a meeting that we start earlier in the day. And then from there, we try to summarize, and I usually then do the presentation on behalf of all the departments, and the departments then are on call if there's any questions. So they'll have their presentation to you on the 21st, and then when you guys hold your public meetings and make recommendation, I do the presentation on behalf of the departments, and then it gets forwarded to council, and I reiterate that presentation. So it's usually at least three presentations before they adopt.
That was the reason for the 2 regular meetings in March?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I
Is there a motion?
motion to approve the January 24th through the January 2004 through January 2005 calendar is presented.
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Martin and second by Commissioner Willis that we accept the Planning Commission meeting schedule January 2024 through January 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the,
Just, I'm sorry, ma'am.
go ahead.
Just noting the next set of meetings for scheduling, as we typically do. The next meeting will be the study meeting on January 10th, 2024. We do have items for that agenda, and so we will be bringing that back. We will have that one. I've already actually put notices out. I'll have to actually update the notice to add this one that was postponed to the regular meeting at the end of the month. But I think I still have time to do that because I got the notice in early. So I'll have to do that. But anyway, so definitely we'll have a meeting on January 10th as an introduction for the new items that are coming forward. We have 3 items. And then definitely have the regular meeting on whichever of those items progress. The middle study meeting, if we have some of these zoning update issues related to the B districts and the office use and the site plan review to bring back to you, the 17th meeting might be a good meeting to keep as a, not a long meeting, but come in and, present the additional information that you requested that we will put together is my plan for the 17th.
And then just to remind you, this gas station will come back on the 24th.
Yep.
But at the study meeting, we're going to get together and review the information that was received tonight, and we'll give you like a brief update. I'd like to have some maps prepared on, as we have time to study what was presented to us so that we can better articulate what the requirements are and so forth.
Okay. Commissioner Martin?
Yeah, don't we have an election coming up sometime in January?
January is usually the last, is it the last regular meeting?
I looked at the bylaws. It is the first regular meeting of the year, so it'd be the 24th.
Okay.
And as the chair current noted, 2-year term max, so she can't run for chair again. You can serve as a chair after you've been off a chair, but like you can only do 2 consecutive years in any position. Mr. Willis and Mr. Griffiths have only been in their position currently for a year, so they could go again for another year, just for thinking about, there'll be some level of musical chairs because we need a new chair.
Yeah, and again, it's not hard and fast, but our unofficial rule, and Mr. Griffiths, if he's so inclined, typically the vice chair then is considered for the chair. But that's up to Mr. Griffiths and everybody else. But that's the protocol that we followed in the past.
I think I did volunteer for vice chair this time.
So I guess something to think about, because on the 24th, we'll need to vote on it.
Sit with my own computer screen for my entirety of my chair run previously.
I think you did a yeoman's job during COVID, but as you pointed out, you didn't have really the opportunity to do live.
I think it was like 3 meetings in front of people.
Real humans.
Yeah.
Is there anything for the good of the order? Given that, Commissioner Martin?
Just in passing, I think Mr. Crode has an update on this on the dog park.
Today?
Yeah, and I actually put that on for a focus for next year.
Okay.
So we had an internal meeting with all the departments. I'm not going to speculate on the cost, but you would be surprised on all the costs. So Mr. Zorn had all the departments in to see what value engineering, what things we could do as staff to help reduce the cost from going out to contract. And we're crunching some numbers to be able to even do a phase 1. But as part of that plan, we, as on behalf of the Planning Commission, will hold at least a public input meeting from the neighborhood. At our meeting last week, I offered to Ms. Fields, just tell us when you're ready for us to hold the town meeting, open house, whatever you want to call it. So there is progress being made, but we all got sticker shock when we got the preliminary engineering costs, and we're trying to figure out the best way to move forward and still, do a decent job. This will be a multi-phase, multi-year project, but the basics are enlarging the parking lot, creating a small and a large dog park, even if it's 50% what's original. The issues are there's some drainage, and we have to take care of the drainage issues. They want to get electrical and plumbing to have a small restroom, and then we want to expand the pathway. But because of all the threats with the Jewish community, the adjacent synagogue and school is concerned about safety. So we're talking about lighting, and we're looking at using the light bollards if they make sense. But then there's a sensitivity on the Sabbath. You can't activate any mechanical stuff, so we can adjust that. And, you know, there's a whole host of other things. Removing the berm, that's something maybe that DPW can do, just to try to identify additional funding sources to make sure it gets done. And that was basically what we talked about last week, and we'll keep you posted on the progress.
If you have a town hall style meeting, do you anticipate having it here or at in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I would, I forget exactly which of your neighborhood groups, but when I presented before, you either had a school or clubhouse that's available. So we try to bring the meeting to the neighborhood to make it, to encourage more participation.
Okay.
And maybe you guys can help with that at that.
Okay.
Commissioner Martin, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm done. Drive.
Anything for the good of the order, going once, going twice? The meeting is adjourned at 8:26.